Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Deodani, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where I don't know what we'll talk about today, to be perfectly honest. I, like, I don't even know how to frame this conversation, which I'm about to talk about, but I'm subscribed to the Neopets subreddit, which apparently is also something you're not meant to talk about on Neopets or something. I don't know. Neopets, if you don't know, is a browser-based game of like a pet simulator, kind of. It's more like a customization. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a browser game back from the early 2000s, which is, you know, probably outdated, but very nostalgic all the same. Anyway, hello everyone. We'll get into that in a bit. Right now in Fawnhallow, 6:03 p.m. on Monday, December 11th, 2023. And sometimes I have waves where I'm like, oh, you know, I feel like very nostalgic. Let's go, you know, play a little bit in Neopets or something like that. It comes in, you know, waves, and the waves usually happen like every 3 or 4 years or so. But for whatever reason, I'm still subscribed to Neopets subreddit just because of like idle curiosity, if anything. Anyway, Neopets had a lot of drama. Like Neopets always is constantly having drama. And apparently, I don't even know what's going on, but basically, long and short of it is Neopets has like a market. It has economy in that sort of sense, like, you know, the supply and demand, as in any economy would have. Like, you know, users can sell things, users can buy things on like NPCs or each other, and there's like a money ways to make Neopoints, and inflation exists in Neopets, probably not through like deliberate creation, but just through the sheer passive, not passive, what am I trying to say, through just the fact that an economy exists. Like inflation maybe is like an inevitable thing unless you try and curb it, because I remember back when I played when I was much younger, like paintbrushes, like pet paintbrushes used to sell for like 5,000 Neopoints, and I was like, oh, that was a lot, and now they probably sell for like 100,000 or something, is my guess. Like inflation out of control, and it had been like a huge problem on the site for ages, that so many things were just like super inflated in price just to how like rare they were in the first place, which is, you know, supply and demand. That's just kind of like economics 101 right there. But I don't know what's been happening. I'm basically only like learning about news through the head titles of the new posts which are happening. But I think something about when you there's an advent calendar, which happens every December in Neopets, where every single day you have a chance of getting some rewards or something. Something's happening with his advent calendar, which is absolutely just like shaking up the entire like Neopets market. There's something as well with like huge amounts of like inflated prices on things being reported by like one of a like a not fan made, but like community sites or something of, you know, like the prices of items. There's something about like a seasonal attack fee which is going on. I've no clue what's going on, and you know, I was just thinking about it because I was just clicking on I don't mean to click that. I was just looking at the new titles on the subreddit today, and there's something about like a pet snow ager or something going on. I've got no clue what's going on, but it's very interesting to like hear about these sort of stories, I suppose, in the aftermath. I don't know if someone's done like an interesting video essay on, I suppose, the economics, the economy, I suppose, on Neopets, because that's definitely the sort of thing I would watch, you know, before I go to sleep or something. It's wild, and it's even wilder, I think, ingesting these stories through headlines alone, which, you know, I would say normally is not a great idea to get like not a great way to consume your news, just through like broad summary. I mean, I guess broad summaries are kind of better than no information whatsoever, but, you know, in the case of Neopets news, I don't think it's that important. I get the Neopets news particularly correct. It's just more of like a idle curiosity, if anything. So yeah, I basically, I don't know, anyone playing Neopets? Anyone can like summarize what the heck's going on with the economy right now for Neopets? I've got no clue, but it's very interesting, like learning, like reading the subreddit post. Like, I don't know, let's go on the Neopets subreddit right now. You can go yourself, I mean. Like, oh my god, is one of the top posts right now. I don't know if this one's just a customization, but this person, oh sorry, Snowical. It's what the baby snow ager is, basically like a baby ice dragon-esque looking thing, but also got ice hissing morphing potion, so I guess that's an actual ice dragon. Maybe I should hold on. Let me log into Neopets right now. I'm gonna go to the advent calendar. Maybe I still got a chance to get whatever this prize is. Although I will say Neopets is not loading for me right now, so not after a roaring start there, Neopets. And then opening up the advent calendar today before checking with subreddit, and people are like, the tall ones listened. What on earth is going? What does that even mean? Several months ago, I found an ogre and a lost and found named frozen snake when he was still very weak and you understand the whole family is back together. And then there's this meme post on the 10th of December. I think I missed it. I think it was yesterday. No, 11th of December. That's today. The snow record used to cost 20 million Neopoints. Last seen never. And now the price of it is about 400,000 Neopoints. So basically, as I'm understanding it, is items were insanely expensive. But now they're like starting to be given out in this advent calendar thing. And it's absolutely tanking the price of these things. I don't know why my Neopets isn't loading. Neopets. Oh, here we go. Counting down to Neopets' 25th anniversary. How do I play Neopets? Like heck, I'm going to miss out on this golden opportunity to get something like that. I forgot I had all these pets. Is this the advent calendar? Visit the advent calendar today. Collect my prize. I remember, like, it used to be back in the day, but it used to have, like, these little animations. That's crazy. To be like, yo, these little animations every single day of, like, I'm trying to think how to describe, like, a little animated short of just, like, a little story or something, and then, like, the prizes you get from it were themed around that. Oh, so many Neopoints. I have 15 million Neopoints. That's probably actually, like, nothing in the Neopets economy. How do I visit my inventory again? Because I was going to put this, like, away, but I don't actually know how you navigate Neopets anymore. I didn't know how to navigate the old site. But sometimes it still takes you to the old site, because Neopets is in some sort of weird in-between of being updated and also not being updated, you know? It's like some of the things on the new site, some of the things on the older site. How do I find my inventory? Someone tell me. Help. Somebody tell me. Can I just search inventory? In the search bar? Inventory for Aisha. Not really what I had in mind. Oh, okay. Well, now I've somehow made myself go back to the old site. Oh, here's my inventory. Okay. How do I quick stock? Here we go. I mean, you just deposit everything. Yes. Well, I mean, that can go in my closet, I guess. Beautiful. Look at that. My pets may be dying, but that's okay. I got something that completely crashed the Neopets economy, like, overnight. Have I spoken about I must have spoken about video game economies before. They're wild things. Yeah, I think one of the things I find most fascinating is how video game ecosystems can really mimic real life, you know? But there's always the most famous one that people always sort of, like, talk about is I think it was in WoW, but it was basically like there was an event that happened in WoW, or a bug that happened in WoW, which eventually led to being used as like a case study of how, like, people react to like pandemic-esque situations. Yes, this was before COVID, actually, before you ask, way before COVID, because I mean, as well, it was at like peak popularity times of WoW, I assume. But it was like how people react to, like, these pandemic situations and, like, what's best to prevent it, and, you know, how these things spread. But there was basically a bug in one of the latest, like, raid dungeons or something, which happened on WoW, where essentially I'm trying to think how it happened. There was, like, a debuff which was placed on your character for the battle, which, you know, was like a poison or something. It was like some damage over time, which eventually killed you if you didn't, you know, sorry, I can't. If you didn't eventually, like, I don't know, interface with the mechanics enough so that it got cleansed or something like that. I don't remember the exact fight or the mechanics of it. I just remember, like, a story being told about it by some video essay format again. And the long and short of it is basically somehow there was a glitch where if you did something, I think it was like when you exited the raid or the instance, you would get cleansed of those debuffs or something like that. So it was to prevent, you know, from randomly having this debuff affect you when you're playing the actual game, like outside a raid. But the problem is it was something like it was like an AoE spreading debuff. It was like a contagion. Like if you in your, like, raid group got it, it would spread to other nearby raid members as well, or something like that. And it included spreading to, like, pets, I believe, or summons or something like that, that some, like, WoW classes have access to. And the thing is, it's something like if you dismiss your summon while still in the dungeon or something like that, and then you resummon it outside, the code doesn't check to actually like make sure it's cleansed, I suppose, of that debuff as well. So then your pet is like carrying this contagion, which will infect you, and then it will affect everyone else that you like come into contact with. Which is crazy because it was like, as I understand it, people were just like dying like in the main game, like just in the cities or something, and like in the main overworld, just being like, what's happening? My character has just perished for no apparent reason. Because they're like, I mean, why would no one's immediate thought would be like, oh, I'm carrying a dot left over from like an instance raid or something, which due to a bug. And then it spread like crazy. I mean, eventually it found its way to like the main cities, where it just like people just started dropping like flies. It just became ridiculously like dangerous. And then like it was like quarantine groups ended up happening, like people who wanted to actually play the game but like weren't infected yet, like made sure that they were you know, quarantined away from everyone else. So, and isn't it like if you revive in that game, you revive at the nearest city or something like that? So then it was just like you revive and you die, you revive, you immediately like die again. It was just like some insane thing. And then some people were just like, hey, I'm gonna be like an absolute troll, and then like started purposely spreading the pandemic disease, I suppose, to all other like characters in the game as well. It's just like crazy. I mean, I don't know why my first thought was like, not only is it like as a reflection, I suppose, of real life somehow, but like imagine if you were in like one of those isekai games or like media properties where it's like, oh, you know, if you die in the game, you die in real life, and then like this bug happens and it just absolutely wipes out the entire human population. It'd be pretty big oversight from a developer's part. Has that ever happened in those sort of games? Like those, like Sword Art Online is the only one I know of, but you know, I've never watched it, probably for good reason. Sorry, this is unnecessary shade. I heard the first season, I think, of Sword Art Online is pretty good, and then it just goes like really weird from there, which is not exactly the greatest motivation for me to watch it. But what I was gonna say. Has that ever happened in one of those media properties where it's just like, oh, you know, a bug's happened and, you know, a glitch has happened and it's just like caused an unnecessary death, I suppose, of one of the characters. Anyway, that happened, and then apparently, you know, the word of mouth, you're hearing this information like fourth hand from me right now, so, you know, definitely take it with a grain of salt. I don't actually know if it's true or not, but it was like used to study like spreading behavior, like contagion-esque behaviors, I suppose, and that sort of thing. And I feel like it is, you know, I mean, after probably you watching have lived through a pandemic, unless you were, I suppose, born during COVID times, that would make you like 1 or 2 years old, which I would question why you're watching this video necessarily. Do you even understand what I'm saying? But, you know, if you like, more power to you, I suppose. You'll be a very articulate 2-year-old when as soon as you start nursery or kindergarten, I suppose, as the case may be. What was I saying? Yeah, after living through like the whole pandemic situation, I feel like it probably is quite kind of reflective, you know. But there's a lot of confusion over what's going on, people not taking it seriously, and then people just, you know, start getting infected, and then it becomes a real problem. Some people like blatantly disregarding rules and that sort of thing, which ends up causing issues for other people. And then, you know, there's the idea of like not contamination, what's the word? Sorry, a little bit of a pause there. What was I talking about? I know I was talking about that WoW thing and like how that contagion like mirrors real life to a certain degree. Anyway, does that happen like more often? I forgot it started from like video game economies. Like people should look at the Neopets economy and be like, what can we learn from this for our real life economy? I guess that's not really much. But I suppose one benefit of the video gaming sort of sphere is the fact that obviously it's not based in real life. You know, probably, I'm not going to say people are not, won't be affected, I suppose, by any sort of like effects on there, you know. Certainly, you know, maybe someone's evenings ruined because the game has been like unplayable on like their one off day, or not off day, but like day off. There we go. It's funny how reversing the words can give you such a difference in meaning. On their one day off or something, where it's like, oh, you know, I can't play my favorite game WoW because the server's absolutely busted because of this. But I mean, the negative repercussions, I suppose, of these things happening in the video game sphere is significantly less impactful than I think in real life. I don't think that's even particularly controversial. Like, you know, the comparison of a viral infection, I suppose, in real life compared to in World of Warcraft life is different, I suppose, on the effect it has on people. So I guess one very interesting thing is it could be like, can these psychological things be tested? Like, I don't know. I don't know how you would do this, to be honest, in the first place. But maybe some video games out there should sign up to be like part of like some testing service or something. You know, like some research thing, scientific research paper or something like that. You know, be like, oh, you know, like imagine testing like you know, the Contagion, I suppose, like in World of Warcraft, that sort of thing, but like it's actually scientifically like measured and tested, etc., etc. I don't know how you would do that, because a lot of these, I suppose, I mean, you'd have to do it with willing participants for one, because I think it's otherwise quite unethical otherwise. At the same time, you'd also need something which made sense to only do in a virtual simulated space rather than real life. So things which would actually have like big effects on people, you know. I can't think of something off the top of my head necessarily, but I'm sure if you're like a psychology student or something, you've got some, you know, intrusive thoughts in your mind being like, I can think of some very interesting things I would like to test, but only in a video game sphere because I have a moral conscience, which is totally fair. I have no idea what they would be, by the way. Like, don't ask me. I'm not some evil scientist. I'm not a psychology student, not even like close. But it's interesting to think about these sort of things, how like these video game spaces, I suppose, can be simulations, I'm not sure simulation's quite the right word, but like reflective of real life behaviour, while not really having any sort of serious consequences, you know, like the worst thing, you know, you can always just like roll back the server, I suppose, if something potentially catastrophic happens. I mean, I guess you can't if you don't have backups, but then I would say, what are you doing, you know, doing anything digitally online without backups? It's just an absolutely atrocious idea. Yeah, what else can we say about this? I'm trying to think of like what would be an interesting experiment. Like, what could you get from Animal Crossing? I mean, you can get you could probably do some sort of psychological study. I mean, I know there's like a replication crisis happening in like the most recent years for psychology-based papers, so maybe this is not the best time to do it, or maybe it's the perfect time to do it, to try and like completely what's the word? Disprove things, or not, I suppose, on like a much larger scale. But you know, like how people, when they play Animal Crossing, they very much bond with characters, etc., etc., you know, favorite villages, etc., etc., you know, despite the fact that there's only really like 8 personality types of these villages in the first place. People inject or project maybe a lot more personality into them than is actually portrayed to us. So I don't know, maybe there's some potential in there for something to study a little bit further. I genuinely have no clue how you would do it, but I'm just sort of positing ideas, saying that yes, this is theoretically possible, probably. Sold. So I don't know. Is the video game universe a good testing sphere? Is it not? I don't really know, but it's interesting to think about. Because if it does end up being something which I think is reflective of real life, that can only really be a good thing to, you know, have more options, I suppose, when it comes to mass understanding human nature on a grand scale, right? But maybe we should wait for replication crisis to not necessarily be resolved, but to be understood even further. If you don't know what replication crisis is, again, I only have sort of like a passing understanding, but it's basically, there were so many studies about like psychologies that I assume in like, I don't know, 70s to 2000s or something. I don't know the exact time frames, again, not a psychology student. Which, you know, certain, you know, things being like, oh, if XYZ happens, then ABC happens, or something like this for human nature, just like delving into human nature. But then it's just like these results could not be replicated when they were attempted again in most recent days, and it's been happening to a lot of things. I don't know what the biggest result from, I should talk about this tomorrow maybe. I don't know what the biggest result is from the replication crisis. The replication crisis is taken down, but there you go, that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this episode off here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.